Let's talk about stem changing verbs or boot verbs in the present progressive. We've talked about verbs like poder in the present tense turns into puedo, or pedir turns into pido, or preferir turns into prefiero. And we talked about their boot verbs or stem changing verbs. We spent a lot of time on that. Now, let's look at this. If an IR verb stem changes or is a boot verb in the present tense, a verb like pedir or sentir or preferir, if its stem changes in the present tense, it also stem changes in the present progressive. Okay? So, pedir is an IR verb. It stem changes in the present, so it's also going to stem change in the present progressive. Preferir is an IR verb. It'll stem change in the present tense, so it must also stem change in the present progressive. Okay? Note, only IR verbs ever stem change in the present progressive. Hugar is a stem changing verb. J-U-G-A-R. The U in the present tense turns into U-E. But does an AR verb ever stem change in the present progressive? No. Do ER verbs like perder ever stem change in the present progressive? No. But Mr. Hult, perder stem change in the present tense. P-E-R-D-E-R. This E turns into I-E. If it stem changes in the present, doesn't it have to stem change in the present progressive? No. This is important. What is the only kind of verb that stem changes in the present progressive? It's only IR verbs. Okay, so let's look at the first one. I am asking for help. Now in the present tense, this E turns into I. But it's an IR verb, so guess what? In the present progressive, the E is going to turn into I. It's not estoy pidiendo, it's estoy pidiendo ayuda. So anytime you have a stem changing IR verb like pedir, servir, vestir, preferir, warning bells should go off in your head, because IR verbs that stem change in the present also stem change in the present progressive. Now, she is serving pizza. Servir is to serve. S-E-R-V-I-R. Now, in the present tense, the E turns into an I. Is servir going to stem change in the present progressive? Yes, because all IR verbs change in both the present and the present progressive. So it's not ella está sirviendo. What does the E turn into? It turns into I. Mr. Holt, how do I know that the E turns into I? Well, in the present tense, the E turns into I. So in the present progressive, E turns into I. One more. They are dressing themselves or they're getting dressed. Okay? Vestir is an IR verb. V-E-S-T-I-R. In the present tense, this E turns into I. Since it's an IR verb, in the present progressive, the E turns into I. So it's ellos se están vistiendo. Mr. Holt, I'm having trouble with this. Do AR verbs ever stem change in the ing form? No. Do ER verbs ever stem change in the present progressive or ing form? No. What is the only type of verb that stem changes in the ing form? It's only IR verbs. So IR verbs are tricky. Anytime you see an IR verb, warning bells should go off in your head. IR verbs stem change in the present and in the present progressive or ing form.